Good morning, good morning. All right, y'all. This is Rep Bruce Coffee and Chat. With Rep Bruce coming at you live, right? Coming at you live. I'm live right here in the spot, Imperial Barbershop, right here on Imperial Avenue in Southeast San Diego. I'm doing it like we know how to do it, and so welcome. Good morning. This is Coffee and Chat with Rep Bruce one more time. We're just doing a little community chat, trying to keep things going, keep things moving. And just so you know, we are at it right now, and we're we're adamant about what's happening in our community, what's happening around the world. And I want to be sure that you know that Coffee and Chat with Rep Bruce, we're doing this again, and we're doing this with full energy. Give a shout out to my boys, NPU, National Parents Union. They're streaming on Facebook. Just got done. Dad to Dad, Dr. V, Michael, the whole crew, Tim. I just want to make sure I give a shout out to them. Dad to Dad, it's a good show. Check it out. It is worthwhile. And so, without further ado, I just want to make sure I get you set up for what we got going on today. We're talking a little bit about what's happening in the community, what's happening around the world, and so I am right here live streaming, doing it on Twitch, on Facebook, and definitely YouTube. So keep it tuned. We are talking community. I'm here in the middle of Southeast San Diego. My roots are here since I moved here in San Diego back in the 90s, right? Always, when I lived in San Diego, except for one time, lived off of Imperial. And so one way or another, Imperial is like the bloodline of my life in San Diego. And so definitely want to give a shout out to Tawa Baraka for letting us use the spot. This is a community spot. Folks getting their hair braided, folks getting their hair cut. Outside things are still going. The place is reopened, and it's looking sharp. And so I want you to know that. And we're not just talking community, but we're also talking about what you can do within your community. And so we'll cover a few things that are happening here in Southeast San Diego. But most of all, I want to make sure that we cover some things that you can do in your community if you're not even a part of this community. But how can you do something that's part of a global community? And I'll give you an example of that as we go through today. So without further ado, I'm just going to keep this thing pushing. I know we got a lot of stuff to work on. Don't forget, Wednesdays at noon, we got Live at Lunch Bible study. Myself, Pastor Powell from Christ Temple here in San Diego. And we're just going to keep on attacking this thing called God and government all the way until we get up to this election. Hey, this is October 3rd. I believe I'm ready to drop my ballot. So we're going to keep this thing going. And so just so you know, God and government is coming up. And so when we say that we're here in the community, boom, here we are. Lakers fans, got to give it up to the Lakers. Got 2 wins. We only need 2 more, right? Loving it. And then, you know what I'm saying? You see how I'm geared up, right? STL, where you at? STL, where you at? Where you at? Talk to me, DP. Talk to me, Terry. Where y'all at? T-Dub, where y'all at? I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. So I'm gonna just keep on pushing because I know what's happening. I'm geared up. I'm set up. I'm doing my thing. And so I want you to know this is how it's supposed to be. This is 2020. This is the year of the pandemic. This is the year of the Padres. This is the year of the Mamba, right? We kind of forever we doing this. And so guess what? The Lakers going to do it for the Mamba. The Padres going to do it, just to, keep the Cardinals out of it. I'm cool right now, right? I'm cool right now. I can walk away and say that things have been handled. And so let's be real, right? And so we talk about community. Community comes from a Latin word, right? a combination. It's a compound word, and so we're talking about together as one, together as one, which is the cone, C-O-N, the cum, the C-U-M, from the Latin meaning with or together, and unity, which is the unit, the single unit. And so unity, together as one, here we are, together as one, here we are with each other as one when we talk about community. And so when we talk about community, one of the prime examples of community that we have to go to is Brother Marcus Garvey. You know, Brother Marcus Garvey broke this thing down, and I'm impressed with it. He said, pass judgment on what you read based upon facts. When I say facts, I mean things that cannot be disputed. And that was Marcus Garvey in a piece called Educate Yourself. And so when we talk about it, Marcus Garvey led a movement, not just a movement that we would call a Pan-African movement, not just a movement that can be limited to Pan-Africanism. I think that's part of our problem. We've oversimplified the greatness of some of our iconic influencers, and we simply say that they are regulated to this one thing. And so when we talk about, you know, Marcus Garvey and Garveyism, you know, and we talk about community, and we talk about all these things that come up. He's saying it right there. He's saying, look at it, man. You know, how are you gauging your education? How are you gauging your empowerment? How are you gauging your economics? And if you're only doing it based upon what folks allow you to have as opposed to what you build, then you're limited. And so he was working on aspects of beyond Pan-Africanism. He was working on aspects of what we would consider a global movement. And when we take this into consideration, we've done too much of limiting MLK to just that. We don't even call him Martin Luther King anymore, or Martin Luther King Jr. or Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. anymore. We just call him MLK, right? And we've limited people to being MLK, and it's just about a dream, or it's just about, you know, I don't see color and I have a dream, and that we've limited Malcolm X to by any means necessary in a few words, maybe the Ballad of the Bullet and W.E.B. Du Bois. We've limited him to things such as the Talented 10th, Booker T. Washington, up from slavery. We've limited Booker T. Washington to being like fingers in a fist with that Atlanta Compromise. And so think about it. Where are we allowing for the growth of our people? Where are we allowing for our people to see things in a different dimension? And so if we're not careful, man, we're gonna see that this thing right here is limited. And so take this into consideration when we talk about Marcus Garvey, when we talk about community, when we talk about what does it mean when we talk about Garveyism, you know, Black education, unity, liberation, Black economics, overall Black empowerment, and having some pride in yourself. If we take it to Hollywood, Hollywood has limited references to Garveyism. And so when we look at that, take into account that in Malcolm X, the movie X by Spike Lee, based upon the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley, it points out that Malcolm's father was involved with Garveyism and how he was part of the movement with UNIA as a minister, you know. And so Garveyism permeated much of the Black community in the early 1900s. Look at the series Boardwalk, where Dr. Narcisse was supposed to be connected to Marcus Garvey and Garveyism and the UNIA in New York. And so when we talk about that, this was not just something that was happening back east. This wasn't something that was just happening in LA. This wasn't something that was just happening here and there. This was a global movement. And when we talk about the universal improvement Association. When we talk about that as a global movement, this is part of building a community that goes beyond geographical limits, but it actually expands to identity and how someone identifies with the community. And so, God bless. This is one prime example. Listen, y'all, we up in here, we in the barber shop, we in the community, and you're gonna hear a lot of stuff. You're gonna hear traffic, you're gonna hear music, you're gonna hear folks talking. That's part of what we do. It's Saturday. Folks getting their hair braided, folks getting their fade, folks getting, in the chair, talking to the barber, find out what's happening in the community, find out what's going on. That's part of a cornerstone of our community. Just like the church is somewhere where folks meet up on Sunday and fellowship. Guess what? On Saturday, in the Black community, we're hitting the barber shop. You better be ready. And guess what? It's early in the month. Folks just got paid on Friday. They're showing up here. Come on down, get faded, get shaved, get ready, get fresh. All right? And so think about it. When we talk about community and we talk about Black economics, things of that nature, here we are, right? We're talking about a prime example of community and change with my man Nipsey, right? Look at what he did in LA. Look at what he was on the verge of doing with his music and other merchandise, where he was actually doing some stuff that allowed him to incorporate artificial intelligence and scanning and all these different high-tech aspects to music and merchandise and tags. And I mean, he was on the verge of not just selling his stuff, but also owning property. Think about that. Listen, y'all. I've spent a whole lot of time breaking down and tearing up, community. So I know I owe it to give back to community. And so when I look at a brother like this, Nipsey, who was able to turn it and rearrange the hustle, I see that it can be done another way. And so bravo to the charge, man. Make it happen. And so don't let the hate infiltrate and penetrate. You know what I mean? Don't let the hate infiltrate and penetrate. Make sure that we still are pushing forward, that we're still running this marathon, that we're still doing the things that we need to do, and keep it busy. This is something that we got to be real about. Are we really threatened when the gangster becomes the entrepreneur? Are we really threatened when the hustler becomes the community spokesperson? Are we really threatened when the brother who was begging now is protesting and putting it out there and making it happen? The sister who was hanging out and y'all thought she was a hood rat and now she might just become your councilwoman? Are we really threatened? And so let's think about it, man. When we look at this election that's coming up, who knows what's going to happen? You got the White House in quarantine, COVID pandemic taking over and making it to where you don't have any more Trump rallies and all that stuff. And are they going to have another debate? Well, come on. But at the end of the day, you still got to do what you got to do. You still need to do what you need to do for your 2020. Make your 2020 happen and make it real. And so look at the example of Nipsey. Look at what he did. Look at how he made it happen. And this is a mural that's right here at the Imperial Barbershop, part of our community. And we're going to take a little look at some of the stuff that we got going on here as part of our community spot. Look at there, Kaepernick. We talk about reclaim the community spot right there. Look at Angela Davis, right? Posed and so composed. And so we know that this is something that happens in our community, that we still have those figures, those icons that we look up to and hold on to. And so, bam, right here, Southeast San Diego, the African Redemption Division, the UNIA of San Diego 619 with, Brother Thao Baraka. He's here, right? cutting folks up, making the fades happen, giving people shaves, but they've got a charter here, and it is amazing to see what they're doing in the community aspect of bringing it home. I mean, let's take this for real. When we talk about having a foothold in the community, not long ago, they were heavily involved. Brother Kyle Baraka was heavily involved with a group that we call in our community 100 Strong. And 100 Strong was bringing it. They were bringing community change. They were bringing it. They were talking about different things that were happening. And so when we talk about 100 Strong, right, we talk about how our people were coming together and making things happen. And we talk about 100 Strong. We talk about our people who were in unity together, and we talk about how our people can have so much more potential than what they've been doing. And so we don't get stuck on what we've been doing. We need to get stuck on moving forward. We need to get caught up on being different. We need to get straight up about how we can move in a direction that gets us to a place where we're better off than we were yesterday, and we can even move in a direction that gets us to a better place moving towards the future. This is not just about us. So if it was just about us, it'd be greedy. If it was just about us, we'd be so wrong. It wouldn't make sense. If it was just about us, we'd be in the wrong place. We'd be in the wrong business if it was just about us. And so since we know it's not just about us, we know that this is about our community, our children, right? Those who will follow us, right? Those who will be coming after us. What are we doing? And I got to give a shout out to, my children, my beautiful black babies, starting with the firstborn, my son Marquise. Much love to you, right? And to my daughters, Mia and Marley. I'm wishing you the best. And part of what this is I'm trying to work on building a legacy for them. What can they take on that has had daddy all up in an uproar for all these years? You hear that beat thumping, you hear it pumping. That's what's going on right here. We're still in the community, right? And so I'm trying to make this, a generational legacy. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it something to where my kids can say, well, you know what? My dad did his part. I can't front. My dad was involved. My dad was, he was there. And so, it's when you look back over time, what are you going to be able to say? What are you going to be able to say about when things were moving afoot and things were happening? What are you going to be able to say as far as your part that you did? What are you going to be able to say that you actually did as a contribution, right? When we talk about Garveyism, we're talking about Black economics, like I said, that's part of it. And so when we talk about it, what are we really building? What are we really setting up? Where are we leaving our children for the future? And when we talk about our children for the future, look at this, y'all. This is my community. This is my community, and these are my people. Like my man used to say back in the day. These are my folks, right? These are my folks, the kin folk, the folks that are the ones that are here with me in the midst of the struggle. So when we look at this community spot, look at the imagery that's portrayed, look at the imagery that's set up for, just like Garveyism, that you have, some pride. And look at what they're doing, man. Look at what they're doing in the community, man. Look what they're doing in the community. And think about it. This is an event that's coming up in October, right? It's coming up in October, right here on Tuesday, right? It says 11 a.m. They're gonna be putting this all together, DJs and everything. the main thrust of this event, Stop the Genocide, is going to be happening 1 o'clock to 6 o'clock. So if you can't make it at 11, it's a community event. Come on down, get there sometime between 1 and 6. There's going to be a DJ. There's going to be all sorts of things going on. But the main point is, stop the killing, stop the genocide, end the violence, make something else happen. And so we want to make sure that that's part of how we maintain community by keeping the peace. And so that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. And so, got to give it up to, Tyler Baraka, my man Travis, they putting this thing together. Stacy Butler, amazing story of somebody that's able to, come back to the community and still maintain a perspective of what needs to change. And, Stacy, much love to you, man. Always in support of, Stop the Violence movement and everything that you're putting out there on the corner with the youth and with the kids. So, man, God bless. And so here we go. When we talk about all of this, the artwork, the imagery, when we talk about the ideas and the plans, the notions and the various aspects of what makes the community, alive and well, it should be us. It should be us that make the community alive and well. It should be us that bring this thing together. And so as we move towards, a simple close, right? Simply wrapping this up, I want us to think about it from the aspects of what Garveyism was talking about. That when we enlighten people, when we educate people, that's the initial steps of empowerment. If you don't believe in your own potential, you won't believe in your own power, right? Like I said, I've been in Southeast San Diego for years, active, whether it be in the faith community, whether it be in the, hunger prevention community, the HIV, STD prevention aspects, with different coalitions, with the health community, just the whole thing, man. And there are so many things that are disparities and things that attack us within community that as individuals, we're just struggling, we're just surviving. But as a unit, we're so much stronger. And so trust and believe, man, this is where we can make a change. And so think about it, man. I'm here right now with my community on a Saturday. We're trying to get some things together. We're trying to get some people together. What's going on in your community? What needs to change in your community? Who do you need to hook up with? Who do you need to get along with and get hooked up with and make this happen? Because, listen, there's a whole bunch that we can complain about, but there's a whole bunch that we need to change and not just simply complain about. Listen, man, we are powerful. Man, where I grew up in Riverside, man, come on now. Somebody knows about the settlement house and all that stuff, but that was a community center. And with that, one of the brothers that was from my hood, right, Big Dollar, and a lot of us didn't understand it at a younger age, but Big Dollar would meet with congressmen, senators, and city councilmen. He was not just someone that was from the hood doing his thing. He was someone who was advocating for the hood with those who may not understand the struggle of some people within the hood, right? Listen, man, this is real. When we talk about it, look at Marion Derrick coming from the streets, coming from activism and getting some things done within his community and moving into political office. That's the type of person I'm talking about when I talk about somebody like the one, that I knew as Big Dollar. And so this is the thing, man, that where are we gonna go and what are you gonna do? As we move forward, I don't want to lose you. I want to keep you close. I'm go back to what I was saying before the little gap in there. This is part of how we sustain community. Get together with those who have a like mind to see change happen, right? Get together with those who have a like mind to see change happen. Listen, if you don't do that part, the change that you want to happen will not happen because somebody within the circle is too satisfied with the status quo. They're too satisfied with, well, all we really need is, and they're willing to take the crumbs off the table than to have a seat at the table. And so that's part of it. And then if you don't really want a seat at the table, do like Marcus Garvey. Start building your own table. Start creating your own enterprise. Start creating your own infrastructure. Check out what they're doing here. Not so much at the Imperial Barbershop, but what are they doing here with UNIA? What are they doing here with this movement to, not even reinvent something, to establish something here in the community of an organization that has a long track record? And so get with people, right, who want to see change happen. Have an agenda. What is your agenda? What change do you want to see happen? What things do you want to see occur that would make your community better, make your community stronger, make your community healthier? Hey, right up the street, Euclid and Market used to be one of the most dangerous traffic thoroughfares for pedestrians, for cars, as far as intersections in San Diego. And it was among one of the most dangerous in San Diego County at one point. And man, thank God for people advocating and making stuff happen. Diane Moss, God bless her and the work that she did as far as community, and not just bringing farmers markets and urban farming and agriculture to the community, which was a food desert for a while, where you had to go outside of your community to shop, to buy groceries that were healthy and had fresh fruit and vegetables available. But she made that happen with the farmers market. She made that happen with the Fannie Lou Hamer celebration. So much peace and love to Diane Moss and her group and the work that she's done with the growers group and farmers markets and God bless. And to put that into perspective, when the community wasn't walkable, she worked with the county. She worked with other health advocates on not so much it being a traffic issue, but it being a health issue. And so when it becomes a health issue, it becomes a different concern. That's the problem, y'all. That's the problem. Sometimes our approach is wrong. We're mad about the right thing and we want to change the right thing, but sometimes our approach isn't getting the attention that it needs to get because of how we're approaching. Listen, think about it. Get with the right people, have your plan, and have the right approach, right? You want to change something this election, you got to have the right approach. You want to change something post-election, you got to have the right approach, right? You just listen, just jumping up and jamming somebody up in the middle of a press conference is not going to do it. Just standing in front of City Hall or the courthouse with a bullhorn is not going to do it. If you want to make it change, that will get their attention. That will raise awareness, but that will not make it change. What makes it change is legislation. What makes it change is policy and practice. What makes it change is the pressure. And for a lot of folks, the economic pressure. For a lot of folks, the stockholder pressure, the shareholder pressure. And so when we do this, our people need to know that when we talk about changing community, we're talking about changing community for the better. And when we talk about changing community for the better, that means get busy. Get busy. Don't wait on anybody else. Don't delay. Get busy. Listen, y'all, this is just a simple look at what community can be. It's a simple look at what community is, a simple look at what community should be, and how to be active in the community, how to be active in your community. And when we talk about that, we're talking about being at one with your people, being in unity with your folks. And so when we're in unity, when we're together, when we're combined, when we're in the collective action, we are talking about we are a single unit, just like the Bible says. We are one group that seems to appear as one man with one voice. We are solidified, we are strengthened, and we are empowered when we are together. That's why block voting works. That's why when unions come together, they work because they get the people as a mass to say, this is how we're voting, this is how we're doing it. And so when we talk about community, what are we doing? What are we building? And how are we structuring it? Listen, I got a video message from Brother Tal Baraka that we'll share at a later time on this channel. But man, let me tell y'all, this is the time to get busy about community. We've got a few weeks left. Then this election hits. God help us. We've got a few months left, and then this year is over. God help us. What are you doing with these last 90 days? We're in it. We're in it. Go back to the previous video that I talked about, how to wrap up 2020, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hey, y'all, I'm just trying to help somebody today. I hope this has been an encouragement to somebody. I hope this has been an eye-opener to somebody. This is my community, right? This is Southeast San Diego. This is, my people, right? This is what we're talking about. This is how we rolling, right? This is how we got it going on here. This is how it's set up. This is live coffee and chat with Red Bruce from the World Famous Imperial Barbershop, right? I just got to say it one more time, y'all. Go back to what they're doing. Go back to how they're establishing community on a global level with this whole UNIA chapter in Southeast San Diego. They're connected with the world. Go back to how this is more than just a barbershop. This is a community spot. Go back to what we're saying and what we're thinking about when we look at figures like Nipsey Hussle and what he meant to his community, what he was trying to do, what he endeavored to do. Go back to Marcus Garvey and Garveyism and what that means and how that strength is part of who we can be as a group. And then from there, let's take it to another level. From there, let's take it to a higher level. From there, we should be doing way more than they were doing in 1920. We should be doing way more than what they were doing in the 1950s and the 1960s. We should be doing extremely better than what they were doing and carrying out in the 1970s. Listen, it's 2020. We should be blowing this thing up and making it happen. God bless. Have a great day. God be with you. See ya.